Okay, so here's a little bit about how we go about the process of turning Eliza's songs from her demos into something that's a bit more fleshed out in the studio. So what I will receive is something like this. Bear with me.
I saw a pair of magpie lovers, I said, keep your joy. Those are the eyes of a child condiment, they've seen nothing destroyed. 5 or 6 came, I turned them away, I see walls unsafe. The jewels of a queen round my neck would only choke me to death. The sweetness.
Okay, so the first job is to find the tempo and the key of the piece. Well, the key of the piece, that's fine. I've got a keyboard just here, and where are we? So I can see that we're working essentially in D minor for this. Okay, that's no problem. The next thing is to count the beats out. Once I've done that, I can establish a metronome. If I just give you a little bit of that. So I've set this already, and so that's a good kind of approximation of where the track's going. Of course, Liza is working with a piano and not to a metronome. She's playing very freeform. So the next thing I do is I cut the track up into sections and match it up against this beat. So that gives us something like this.
I saw a pair of magpie lovers, I said, keep your joy. Those are the eyes of a child's condiment, they've seen nothing destroyed. 5 or 6 came, I turned them away, I see walls unsafe. The jewels of a queen round my neck would only choke me to death. The sweetness of stone.
Okay, so you hear those little gaps. This is where I've just chunked it up into bits and then put it up on the grid to give me a guide track to work at. Having got that in place, the next thing I do is block in a very, very rudimentary piano part just to give it some harmony. So that will sound like this. I'm just going to drop that vocal back down a bit. So at this point we've got the rhythmic framework and the harmonic framework in place. Now this is the point where I will then send the track back to Eliza and she will work on a guide vocal that will sync to this track that she will then send to me for further working. But at this point I've also got enough harmony in place that I can be starting to get on with things. So this one, I've decided to go for a very kind of dry and intimate string sound. So a trick I nicked off Jonathan Tunnick, actually, the orchestrator who did all of Stephen Sondheim's work, is the entire score for Into the Woods has no violins in it. I haven't gone quite that far, but I've got no firsts in this. I'm just using a cello, a viola and second violin to make the chord shape up. And so that sounds like this. So I'll take that piano out as well while I think of it. Take that click off. So the cello. Here's the viola. Second violin. So all of those lines are played with a certain amount of expression. Come the second verse, I've played them in again rather than cut and paste, so there's a bit more of a feel of organic kind of, you know, real playing rather than a cut and paste sort of a job. Now I've doubled this up. That was just the section leaders of the orchestra, so the soloists from each section. For the second verse, I wanted to get it a little bit richer, a little bit more developed. So I've brought the rest of the section in as well at a lower volume behind them. Still the leaders at the front, but that sounds like, oops, where are we? Like this. So you get the idea. This is how I start to build things up. Having got the strings in place, I might put in some percussion. You might have heard earlier before I muted it, there's a very low bass drum boom. This is a thing stolen from cinematic composition, really. It's a way of giving a sense of space and kind of almost ominous feeling to a track. If I play that section again, now with the bass drum in. And so it goes on. So hopefully that gives you some sort of insight into the process. Yeah, keep watching and we'll keep updating with more bits and pieces as the project progresses. Thanks for watching.